Hello, I'm Pippa Marland, Co-I on the Tipping Points Cultural Responses to Wilding and Land Sharing in the North of England project based at the University of Leeds. Tipping Points is a follow-on project to the AHRC-funded Landlines Modern British Nature Writing Research Project. The original research identified a tension around the concept of the wild in nature writing, where it was often framed as meaning without people or uncultivated, and so incompatible with farmed land. Along with this, we saw a tendency in contemporary nature writing to blame farmers for environmental issues without looking at the broader systemic problems facing them. Tipping Points was inspired by the idea that in the UK, more natural habitat is now being restored than taken away, much of it on land that is still under agricultural use. It looks to increase awareness of wilding and land sharing schemes involving farmed land in the north of England, and to foster creative responses to these conservation initiatives in a process of imaginative rewilding. By revealing the meanings and values of particular landscapes for the public, these creative responses will be able to feed into our project partners' decision-making processes about land use. The project has a second strand which will bring farmers, conservationists and arts and humanities practitioners together to discuss how best to support nature-friendly farming initiatives. We have three project partners: Stirling Community Farm, Huddersfield, a flagship site for the Yorkshire Wildlife Trust, Wild Ennerdale, Cumbria, and the Castle Howard Estate in North Yorkshire. They're all at various stages of planning and delivering initiatives to increase biodiversity on their farmed land, and are also keen to get a sense of the meaning and values of their landscapes for the public in order to increase engagement and access. The first strand of activity for Tipping Points involves the provision of writing and visual arts workshops, which will encourage members of the public to respond imaginatively to conservation initiatives such as wilding and agricultural land sharing in each of our three sites. We're working with three professional writers who will deliver nature writing workshops: Testament, author of the brilliant play Black Men Walking; Amy Jane Beer, author of many books of nature writing and frequent contributor to The Guardian's Country Diary; and Harriet Fraser of the inspirational project Somewhere Nowhere. A representative from each venue will give a short talk explaining the respective plans for wilding on their land at each of the workshops. The same venues will also host visual arts workshops led by the University of Leeds' own Dr. Judith Tucker and Melanie Rose, who's a PhD student. Both are established artists. Judith has a growing international reputation, and they both specialise in interpreting landscapes in their work. Judith is an expert in putting written texts and paintings into dialogue. These events have had to be postponed because of COVID-19 restrictions, but when they do take place, they will contribute to our partners' aims of encouraging stakeholder diversity and inclusivity, and will enable them to open up their deliberations about land use change to arts and humanities-oriented perspectives. The outputs from these workshops will, with the participants' informed consent, be shared with the partner organisations. The texts and artworks will also be included, again with permission, in a printed catalogue and showcased in an exhibition in Leeds, which will then tour to the three sites. Complementing our work with the general public is the Love and Soil Symposium at Castle Howard, which will involve an invited participatory group of farmers, conservationists and arts and humanities practitioners. The symposium will look to open lines of communication in a fraught area of debate in which farmers often feel unfairly criticised for their methods, and it will foster a mutually supportive network in both practical and cultural terms for farmers wishing to adopt more nature-friendly approaches. The symposium is being co-organised by a team of experienced facilitators. Barbara Bray, MBE, pictured here, is a director of the Oxford Farming Conference. Dr. Amy Jane Beer, one of our nature writers, who is also on the Castle Howard Conservation Steering Group, Emily Diamond, Head of Learning and Influence at Northern Heartlands, and Pippa Marland from the Tipping Points team, whose own research, funded by the Leverhulme Trust, explores the representation of farming in modern British nature writing. Tipping Points hopes to contribute to the democratisation of land use decisions in the UK, offering input and support to landowners and managers who are providing public and environmental benefit through their land use changes.